Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. It is July 15, 2025. My name is Ango, and of course, I'm joined by Billy TKO today with some live WWE talk. Last night was Raw. We saw the shocking return of Roman Reigns. There's just so much stuff to talk about. Very excellent episode, in my opinion, of WWE Raw. Billy TKO, thank you for joining me. How are you doing, my brother?
My brother, I am good. How are you feeling today?
I'm good, man. We are live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as Billy's channel. If you guys are watching us on all of these platforms, shout out to you. Thank you for joining us. Definitely getting back into the swing of things with streaming. Yesterday was a great stream. So hopefully everything is working well. If you guys can confirm that the audio and everything is working, that would mean a lot. I'm just checking the feed on Twitch. We got quite a few viewers over there as well on YouTube. And so far, no complaints on YouTube.
Nope.
So that is very good. Billy, what'd you think of Raw last night, bro?
Dude, I thought it was an excellent show. I thought it was perfect top to bottom. I thought it did everything that it needed to do. It delivered on all aspects. You know, we got a lot of shine from the women last night, you know, coming out of Evolution. So I thought that was great. But yeah, the show did everything that it needed to for me. Roman return, that was, a nice treat to Monday Night Raw. So, you know, you love to see it, man. So I'm feeling good about Monday Night Raw. Can't wait to talk about it a little bit more.
For sure, and definitely a lot to talk about. So shout out to everybody in the chat joining us. Of course, with these kinds of live streams, what we like to do is really just feed off of you guys. Nice, I just muted myself for a quick second. But
I was like, what happened?
Yeah, adjusting the mic, muted myself, that kind of thing. But no, for real, like honestly, we'd like to feed off of you guys in the chat. So we'll be paying attention to the chat on all of our platforms and interacting with you guys. And of course, we do appreciate you guys being here, and we appreciate the support. If you guys want to take that support just a step further, it's always cool when we get super chats, new memberships, gifted memberships. That's always a very, very, very big thing to help the engagement and the support of the show. Just keep rocking. You know, and to be honest with you, I think one of the things that I really just wanted to talk about is you said the key word, bro. You said women. And that was very much the case last night. The first 90 minutes of WWE Raw was dedicated to the women, which I don't know if I necessarily expected that. Coming off of Evolution and just everything we saw there, like I was pretty shocked with how much time was dedicated to the women. Before we even saw men wrestle, it was 90 minutes. What is going on here? What is WWE doing?
Well, I think they're listening. I think they're hearing everything that they obviously heard the excitement that came out of Evolution. I think WWE is I think they're listening to their audience. And their audience was screaming how good the premium live event was of Evolution and how it delivered in literally every single match. And I think WWE wanted to follow up with that because we had the segment of Naomi, Rhea, and Io Sky, which we'll dive more into. But then we seen another match between Bayley and Lyra, who were just in a triple threat match the night before, and then come out on Monday Night Raw and put on an absolute classic match. Like, WWE is really highlighting the women right now, and I think it's because of us. You know, we're out here telling them, hey, we really enjoyed what we seen on Sunday. And then they follow it up. So you have to think, the last 10 segments up until that main event on Monday Night Raw featured all women. Think about that. That is absolutely insane. It was fun. It was exciting. And the women are just hitting on all cylinders. And I see a lot of people going around saying how, you know, Naomi, Io, and Rhea should main event night 2 of SummerSlam. And truth be told, I'm in agreement there. I definitely think that those three, you know, with how much the women are rolling currently and how much momentum they have, I definitely think they should main event. They are stellar, man. And I love to see it. I love to see the shine on them. They deserve it. And all the praise and respect goes to them.
It is definitely interesting to kind of see, you know, we had this really good pay-per-view with Evolution, and then we just like immediately jump into WWE Raw, and like there's just like this synergy, this like continuance of what Evolution was. And to be fair, man, like I see a lot of people, and I kind of wanted to like just share some of the responses to you and kind of have you react. So I put out a tweet the other day for Evolution, or during Evolution, and I was responding to another I don't know, you want to call him a journalist, personality, whatever, but he put out a tweet and it was like, Triple H, do you see what women can do when they're given opportunities? And I thought this was such a weird tweet, and I honestly thought it was so funny because I'm like, you not only does this individual sing the praises of Triple H's booking, but to me, I felt like that tweet was a direct thing of like, okay, I don't want to piss off the faceless account, so here's a tweet that I'm going to try to make it look like I'm also critical of the WWE. Like, that's kind of how I took it. But my response to that tweet was laugh my ass off. What? Since Triple H took over, the women have been a priority on all 3 shows. They have the best women's division in the world, and he clearly has given them opportunity since the moment he got the pen. What are we doing here? Now, somebody actually responded to that and said, hey, the Triple H hate brigade is so weird. They make up these weird narratives in their head, which I firmly agree with, and there's a reason why. And I said people only behave like this as a way to appear neutral so they don't piss off the faceless accounts on X. But what's a good example of Triple H and what women's wrestling means to Triple H? Well, I think very clearly, if you go back into the days of NXT, if you go back into how the women's evolution even started, Triple H was a very big proponent of women's wrestling with Emma and Paige and, of course, the 4 horsewomen. And that was just a collective trend for Triple H, which was, by the way, a lot of people don't actually, or maybe they don't remember this, but women's wrestling under Triple H was always a big deal. It was under Vince where it wasn't.
Yes.
And that's where Triple H kind of got a lot of praises back in the early days of NXT, where it's like, okay, hold on. It's not just about the big muscular guy, you know, like the Hulk Hogan-esque character. It's, we have a little bit of everything. And I always appreciated that out of NXT was like, you had your scary characters, you had your comedy characters, you had your very serious graps, you had a variety of things, but women's wrestling was always a priority. And so, when I made this tweet, I was kind of shocked to see some of the responses that I got. So for example, somebody responded, how many non-evolution pay-per-views have women main evented since Triple H has taken over? And then I think people use the word main event as like this huge, like everybody has to main event. Bro, let's talk about that first. Let's actually break this down.
Yeah.
When you have 5 match cards, when you have WrestleManias, when you have all these pay-per-views, what do you think needs to be the main event match?
Whatever your best story is going into that said pay-per-view, PLE, whatever.
Okay. I agree with you. That's also something that Triple H says. There's been times where I personally disagree with some of the matches that have main evented because it wasn't necessarily the best story going in, but it's the big marquee match based on who it is and stuff like that. But I agree with you. So I see these tweets, right? And then somebody says, well, this person says, how many non-evolution pay-per-views have women main evented? So what is the measuring stick to you in regards to women being represented properly on wrestling television? Not just WWE, AEW, like every company. What is your measuring stick? How do you measure whether somebody is being presented correctly?
So if you want me to be honest, I guess maybe I look at wrestling just a little bit different than others. I don't really have a measuring stick when it comes down to the women and how they should be, booked or, because at the end of the day, I think it's strictly about opportunity. If the women have an opportunity to just step out on Monday Night Raw, which obviously they do, and people can't take that fact away, it's their job to deliver with that opportunity, because the one thing that Triple H can't do is create momentum. He can push somebody down your throats, but it's up to the audience and it's up to the fans to decide whether or not they like you. So obviously what has happened is after Evolution, momentum was created and people are perceiving it as, oh, well, Triple H doesn't care and he never actually booked these women the way that they should be booked, when that just subtly isn't the case. No, what has happened is because of Evolution, a lot of fans have created momentum for these women to now go out there and deliver on every single moment. So they've created traction. They've created a buzz, is the easy word to say. So there's no real measuring stick when it comes down to how Triple H books. the measuring stick is the audience. If you want me to be honest, I think they're the ones that create the momentum and stuff like that. So, people who go online and say, oh, well, Triple H, he's never booked all these main events. Yeah, because maybe it just wasn't the most important thing at the time. But if you're asking me right now, what is one of the most important storylines going into SummerSlam, I'm going to tell you it's Naomi, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley because of everything that just took place. And all we had was one segment. So it's all about momentum. It's all about buzz. Triple H doesn't really decide what the hottest thing is. He just puts you in the spot. That's it.
So that's why it's interesting to me, is because I feel like, not being a main eventer, there's been matches that have main evented, which, by the way, I feel like probably shouldn't have main evented and it was not the best match or the best story going in, right? But I think the measuring stick for booking is simply just how people are utilized. And this was a thing where even, everybody can have improvement for sure. But when you look at the difference between WWE and AEW, for example, I'll use AEW as a comparison.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just, WWE had 90 minutes of women, wrestling and stuff. But like when you look at WWE versus AEW, I think there is a genuine effort to have multiple different personalities included on television, multiple different stories. Sometimes the stories involve a championship, sometimes they don't. And I think this is one of the reasons where WWE as a company as a whole has been better than everyone. But in addition to that, though, I would say even Triple H can learn a thing or two from Shawn Michaels and how they've done NXT. And that was actually something I would say in the past. But now if you look in the last 3, 4, 5 months, you can tell they've taken the play out of the NXT playbook, which is essentially, okay, there's going to be women feuds that may not include a title, but there's going to be a lot of interaction backstage, and they're going to cross-contaminate stories. And I think when you look at it from that perspective, it's like, okay, that's the measuring stick to me, is how can you get as many people featured as possible doing something of some sort of relevance. And so when you look at WWE television, so for example, this is a great critique that I have. Natalya in the Indies is far cooler than Natalya in the WWE. I understand WWE's reason for not necessarily booking her the way that she's been booked on the Indies, but eventually that could become something that they do, right? If WWE does it right now, it's kind of tough, right? How can you do that with Natalya right now when there's just so much stuff going on? So you put her in a tag team with Maxine
to keep her on TV, and
you keep her on TV, and then eventually, and then eventually maybe you could get to that point where you decide to change it up a little bit. But if you look at it from a different lens, it's like, well, you have Bayley and Lyra, in this 2 out of 3 falls match, and Lyra's going to go up against Becky at SummerSlam. Like, that's a long-term story that's been in play. I'm curious to see how that how
culminates.
How that culminates, right? So, like, to me, it's like you have Lyra and Bayley and Becky, and you have Zelina Vega and Julia and Chelsea Green and Nikki Bella and all these people that are just in the mix, and Stephanie Vakir and all of these things that are going on. And it's like, well, if you make Natty into the badass that she is in the Indies and put her on WWE television currently as it stands, I don't think it works out. I don't think it works out for her favor. So the thing is, WWE has the tendency to sometimes have to wait on things because television is already drawn up, and there are more important things than certain things. But it's really nice to watch Raw and to see that, even with like the Naomi promo, for example, like Naomi cuts this promo on Io and Rhea, and just like, what a great way of being a heel, and what a great way of shutting down the crowd. Like,
for sure.
Don't tell me I deserve it. You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of things I like about it, but the only reason why it works is because for the last year and a half with Naomi, it was, hey, we're going to keep you relevant, but you're not going to be the main person, right? And now as you go throughout time, now Naomi is the main character, right? Like, this is a philosophy that WWE has where they reward you for your patience. Unfortunately, wrestling fans are very fickle, so like they
don't share that same patience.
Yeah, exactly. So like the criticism with Naomi, like I made a TikTok talking about Naomi, and she's the first to win the TNA Knockouts title, SmackDown Women's title, tag team titles, and then of course the World Women's title now, first person in history. I see something like this and people are hating on Trinity Fatu. And it's like, well, hold on. Why are we hating on Trinity Fatu? I thought the whole thing was WWE fucked her over when they brought her back and they weren't doing anything of importance to her. I thought Triple H was wasting his entire life on Naomi because, see what I'm saying? But WWE rewards you for your patience, and that's why you can't necessarily listen to the IWC. There's a lot of people in the IWC who have this like, well, if it doesn't happen right now and I don't get what I want, I'm not going to be happy about it.
Yeah, it's fans, I mean, we've said it and we say it quite often, they just, it's very at the drop of a dime. I'll change whatever it is that I feel based off of the current event that is happening. But, overall, I think like the big thing here is like, it's very cool to see, regardless of whatever you feel or whatever you think about women's pro wrestling. It's awesome. It's fun. It's exciting. These women are just so outstanding, bro. And I cannot stress that enough, honestly. Like from a, just watching standpoint, dude, Io Sky and Rhea Ripley are just two of the best in the world. You know what I mean? And then you add Naomi into the mix, and it's like, again, just another one of those, people who are absolutely the best in the world. So, whatever it is that you feel about women's wrestling, I'm here to shut you down on it and just tell you, like, no different than, the men. They deserve that spotlight. They deserve that stance. And it shouldn't be just at this women's pay-per-view is when they're really shining. No, it should be at every single one. But again, it doesn't fall back on Triple H and it doesn't fall back on it. It's us. We are the people that decide how they continue going forward because their momentum is everything. So we are the deciding factor there. And I'll tell you what, just so much appreciation for everything that they've done. It's awesome and I love it, man. I cannot stress it enough. I love seeing it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I want to say part of what made Raw excellent yesterday was I think there was just a lot of details and a lot of things, a lot of little things that mattered. But I even put it in the title of today's stream where it was, the road to SummerSlam starting off hot. And I actually put out a tweet, bro. And I got to start falling in love with Twitter again because I've really grown to hate X as a platform. And I really just like, the one thing I always loved about wrestling, dude, was the fact that you could interact with people. X has gone to shit, but it was crazy. I put out a tweet yesterday. I was like, feels like we're on the road to WrestleMania, and it's the summer. Laugh my ass off. Raw was excellent.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And dude, like a lot of people really seem to agree with this. Like a lot of people seem to agree that it feels like the road to WrestleMania. And I just want to preface everything I'm about to say about Raw. Yes, the little details mattered and the matches were good and the stories were good. But what I was really impressed with, was the fact that it feels like we're really on the road to WrestleMania and we're not on the road to WrestleMania. And I don't know if SummerSlam builds have actually felt this good in quite a few years, to be honest. What are you thinking? Because you said you saw the tweet. So what are you thinking? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think
No, dude, I actually don't. I don't think you're wrong at all. 6 matches have been, I'm pretty sure, made already. Not officially with Roman and Braun or Roman and Jay versus Braun and Braun, whatever. But truth be told, this build feels important. And I think importance matters. And I think with the hype that came out of Evolution and just this past weekend, and we talked about it in yesterday's stream, just talking about how exciting pro wrestling felt. And, just last week we were talking about how like tired we were and exhausted and all of those things, when in all reality, they did everything that they needed to pull us back in as fans, whether that be AEW, whether that be WWE. They've done everything to pull us back in as fans and get us excited. And WWE followed up on Monday with a very strong show, following up by giving us things that we knew we needed. We made the CM Punk and Gunther match official. That's fun. We seen the return of Roman. Like, there's so many things about SummerSlam that scream important. And, no matter your feelings on it, but Jelly Roll and Randy Orton taking on Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul, like that's them booking for that casual audience that we all know WWE has, and they're going to do it regardless. So no matter your feelings on that, it is important for WWE to do that, to sell a marquee show like SummerSlam. It's not new to WWE to do something like this. They've been doing it for years. So anybody who's out there like, oh, I can't believe WWE is really putting Jelly Roll on, dude. Guy loves wrestling. He's working at it. Let him have fun. Who cares? Right? Oh, Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, they shouldn't be in this spot. I hear you, and I understand to a certain extent, but also at the same time, dude, they're going to be fine. They're going to go on. They're going to do great things after this. I let this moment happen, right? You got to sell this somehow. So it feels exciting. Wrestling feels exciting again. And one thing I will note is that here in Detroit, we actually have the go-home show for SummerSlam, funny enough. So it's going to be very, very intriguing how this build continues.
That's in 2 weeks,
Friday.
right?
Yeah, it's on the 28th.
28th, yeah.
It's going to be exciting to see how they move forward, SmackDown and then the next following Raw, the following SmackDown, et cetera, up until SummerSlam. Because, kind of already having so many matches, it's going to be interesting to see how many matches they choose to have on the card. If it's just going to be, a 5 or if it's going to be 7 each night. I think that's going to be really interesting to see. Yeah.
I agree. It's so funny because the Jelly Roll thing keeps just getting brought up, which is fine. I mean, that's just the way social media is, and everybody's going to be negative Nancy about it. But I think when you look at like Logan Paul and Randy Orton, see, I think what the problem is everybody wants something so massive to happen that they kind of forget to enjoy the smaller things. So, for example, I'm one of those guys. I think you've heard me fantasy book this probably since WrestleMania 39. Cody loses to Roman, faces adversity, and then, a year later, Randy Orton, he wins the belt from Randy Orton at WrestleMania 40. And then obviously that doesn't happen. And then same thing at WrestleMania 40. It's like, oh, wait, they planted another seed for Randy and Cody. And then it's like, again, you kind of see it. And then Cody and Kevin Owens have that feud and Randy's out. Like, obviously I want Randy Orton versus Cody. That's something that WWE has to get to, right? Like, WWE has planted a lot of seeds throughout the years. So I think everybody's kind of like, oh, well, Randy and Cody sounds way better, or Randy and Cena sounds way better. Why are we getting Cody versus Cena and Jelly Roll and Randy versus Logan and Drew? It's like, bro, these guys all have something big waiting for them, but certain dominoes need to fall in place before that happens, and therefore I think wrestling fans really need to do the slow down and just relax and enjoy it type thing. And I know me and you have had this conversation, but like, it's not about what podcasters say. We could all go live and there's a million of us who do this kind of thing. We're not here to change your minds, but don't let people on Twitter or TikTok like comments and just try to derail everything you like. Cause I'm noticing this a lot too, where like people have come to me and I'm like, they're like, oh, Jelly Roll sucks. And it's like, well, hold on, wait, why does it bother you? And it's like, it's the outside influence of people just trying to tell you the entire time, well, this sucks. And it's like, bro.
Yeah, it's creating an opinion based off somebody else. If you watch somebody and they say, oh, Jelly Roll sucks, it's very easy for your mind, and nobody will ever admit to this, right? But it's very easy for your mind to be, captured on what that other person is saying. Because if I just agree with you in the slightest, I could be like, oh, yeah. And then you twist it and you turn it into your own, right? Then you're going out and you're saying, oh, well, Jelly Roll sucks. When that's not really the case. No, it's just that person that you watch just is maybe not enjoying it. I know I can only speak for Ango and I, but kind of like he said a moment ago, we're not here to change your minds. We're not here to tell you what to like and what not to like. No, we're just here to give our thoughts and our opinions. That's really it at the end of the day. And, if you don't like something, just make sure that when you're saying the things, you're making sure that you can at least prominently go into something and say, well, I don't like it because, and instead of it just being like, well, I don't like it because so-and-so said so, and I agree with them. That's a very invalid argument. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. But if you go ahead and you build your own thoughts and everything like that, and you put it out there into the world and you say, oh, I don't like it because this, and this, then I'd be like, okay, I respect it. And this person is just voicing their opinion. You know what I mean? There is a difference between the two, taking from one and then building your own.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. I definitely agree. And it's so tough too, because I feel like whenever people are just happy, miserable people just don't want you to be happy,
Yeah, like, and they just hate it. They just hate it, bro.
Yeah. let me ask you: was there anything on Raw that you didn't like? Because
there was not a single thing that I did
not a single thing.
Not, and that is tough for me, right? Because we did the watch along yesterday that we do, Monday, Tuesdays, Fridays. So we did the watch along, and we were all kind of sitting there, and we do like a little rating system at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, and at first I was like, oh, like a 9.5 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was. And then I had to think about it, and I was like, wait. Let me think about everything that occurred on this show. I was like, No, it was a feel good, perfect show for me. Like they hit the nail on everything that I wanted them to hit the nail on. One thing that probably won't be talked about a lot is Sheamus and Rusev, right? Like that's super exciting to me. More explanation on the New Day and everything that they're doing, and they're mourning the loss of their tag team titles. Now, there's obviously Austin Theory, or not Austin Theory, but Grayson Waller, who's there, and there's no Austin Theory to be found. So what's the plan with that? Kind of subtly doing something there, and they offer the comedy stuff with the toupee wigs, and then you have AJ and Dom, and that's going to be a match. Yeah. So the Judgment Day story, like there's so many moving parts, and they hit all the moving parts, and. One big important thing that took place last night was the Seth Rollins thing, answering, what the issue was with Seth Rollins. And I thought WWE hit that on the head, because it's like the way that they answered it. It was very cryptic. It was very, you'll see and you'll figure it out in due time, but we're not going to give you all that information. Number one, because I don't think everybody needs to know all that information. If he's out 4 to 5 months, then hey, don't tell me, what the plan is. Don't do none of that. No, give me subtle hints and I'll wait. I'm a wrestling fan at the end of the day. I'm willing to wait. You know what I mean? So I think that they hit everywhere that they needed to when it came to last night's show. It's the start of the build for SummerSlam. Now, the start of the build for SummerSlam is supposed to be important, because it's not Night of Champions. It's not Backlash. No, it's the summer version of WrestleMania. That's how WWE has always portrayed it. They're going to MetLife Stadium. That is a huge stadium.
And
they need to sell those tickets, and it's 2 nights. Correct. So that is a huge stadium. So in my eyes, there's a lot of things that you can do there. You know what I mean? So they needed to start off hot, and they need to keep going and keep being hot. Friday needs to be a banger show. Every show in my eyes up until SummerSlam needs to be a go home show, right? Something that we're all walking away with. And I'm saying, oh yeah, that was a 10 out of 10 in my eyes. Perfectly done. You know what I mean? So they need to be hitting that every single time, whether it be Friday, whether it be Monday, whether it be Friday, whatever, right? It needs to happen like that up until SummerSlam. People are paying a lot of money to be at this show, and they're obviously already delivering, right?
Yeah.
They're already going out there. They're giving you they gave you in the opening segment of Raw a huge match immediately. Didn't even waste any time. I said it on the watch along. I said, oh man, they're going to do a triple threat. Here comes Adam Pearce right after. Yeah, it's going to be a triple threat. All 3 of you, SummerSlam. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I didn't think we were going to move that quickly.
Yeah.
But they have no time to waste, because that's one crappy part that I have a problem with. And I'm sorry for just kind of ranting here.
No, you're good.
But the one crappy part is the closeness of all the PLEs. 2 weeks apart, 3 weeks apart, whatever it be. That's a very short span of time. So they have to capitalize on this really quick.
So
because go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off, because I know you're getting long-winded with it, but that's okay, because I want to make sure I get this point into with you, so we can create that dialogue. So it's interesting because you said they're so close apart. Now, what I find interesting, yesterday we had a conversation about, hey, maybe they should do more than 5 matches on a card. What I would recommend to WWE, and maybe you can kind of spin off of this with me and tell me how you feel, but if you're going to do 5 matches on a card and these pay-per-views are so close together, then, for example, we'll use for like an example, this probably isn't the greatest example, but hopefully you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. Evolution, we saw Bayley, Lyra, and Becky, right? Let's say it wasn't an all-women's pay-per-view. Let's say instead of Evolution, it was like Night of Champions. Okay. And it was a triple threat match. Well, with SummerSlam being so soon, maybe what you do is keep that match off of Evolution and continue to build that as a longer term story for SummerSlam. And then this way you can alternate and potentially have tag team championship matches on the PLEs make room for those women mid-card titles. Do you get where I'm kind of coming from? I'm trying to like
absolutely not everything needs to be booked for that PLE. You can start, we could skip over that PLE with this match in particular and move that to SummerSlam, and we let that build continue into SummerSlam, and they're just not on that card. I do think that is okay, and I do think that's something that WWE should go out and maybe consider, right? Yeah. Because if you're going to do, so, like you said a moment ago, just those smaller match cards, don't force your hand at every single thing, which I don't think WWE does. But the problem with it is for instance, Sheamus and Rusev, right?
Yep.
That's a very, very good match that I think could be a best out of 5 series and deserves a PLE spot. Okay, so we'll just say from Night of Champions to SummerSlam, right? Say you want to do Bayley, Becky, Lyra. Okay, you leave them off that Night of Champions card, but instead what I will place is that first match between Rusev and Sheamus, because that is a focal point on Monday Night Raw, and it is a very important focal point on Raw. So I will put that on Night of Champions to fill the spot that I would have had Lyra, Becky, Bayley.
Yeah.
And I will move and continue that build through Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, whatever, up until SummerSlam. That way the build feels that much more important. But you guys got a very solid match out of a story that is also important and a very big focal point on Monday Night Raw in Sheamus and Rusev. So I do think that WWE can do that. I do think that's something that they should consider more. They have numerous storylines, and they're constantly flowing and moving and things like that. Let some things breathe longer, because we will tell you as fans, right? Because that's who WWE listens to. So they say is the fans. We will tell you what we think should be on the PLE and what shouldn't. Yeah. We'll let you know. And if you can read that, then you're good. You know what I mean? You'll figure that out, and that's on you. But yeah, no, man, I definitely think that WWE should, start doing that and looking into that a little bit more.
Definitely, especially if you're gonna do the smaller cards. Honestly,
yes.
Because I do agree. Like pay-per-views, if they're not going to be spaced out, then you got to make them feel a little bit differently. That's a way to kind of go about it. I want to switch gears to the gauntlet match, because I asked you before. I said, and I want to go back to this question. I said, was there anything you didn't like? And there was one thing I didn't like, and it was funny. I didn't like the fact that LA Knight lost so early.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I didn't like the fact that Braun Breaker beat him. I don't know if WWE did this on purpose. It was a little criticism that I had because of the fact that LA Knight beat Seth at Saturday night's main event.
Yes, I said the same thing on the watch along, the exact same thing.
Now maybe WWE does this on purpose, kind of like a little Easter egg. I don't know. Maybe I'm just wishful thinking, but maybe it's like, okay, we truly do view Braun as like he's going to be the guy that walks out of this group being the massive star. So maybe that's the purpose for it, but I just felt like that was kind of dumb for LA Knight to lose to Braun Breaker despite beating the faction's leader.
For sure. And while we're talking about this, right? Because this kind of bleeds into the Seth thing. I did get a super chat on my channel for $1.99 from our good friend Darth Bane. He said, "Do you think we will ever find out Seth's plan B?" Yeah. I do. I'm in full agreement there. I do. I do believe that it actually happens in my eyes, right? I even think like it can still happen now, right? Because even if Seth's out, he could still call the shots from a distance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you could still move this storyline along with or without Seth. He's just, out for a couple months. Paul Heyman said it on yesterday's Monday Night Raw. He said, Seth has until June to cash in this contract. Up until then, if after June, we're still here, then we'll have the discussion. But right now, I got until June. I ain't got nothing to worry about. So Seth, I've seen reports and stuff like that is out, for 4 or 5 months. At the end of the day, he could still call the shots from the back. They can still deliver, quote unquote, plan B, because now they're going to need plan B that much more. You know what I mean? So yeah, Darth Bane, to answer your super chat, very simple. Yes, I do think that we see Seth's plan B. And I actually, we talked yesterday, and I'm sorry to keep going here, but we talked yesterday about like, how WWE would capitalize on this and what would be the pivot. And it looks like they don't even have to pivot. That's how they made it look yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think that's insane.
I agree. And one thing that I think would actually be kind of cool, we do know that there is going to be call-ups in NXT, and it's like, well, what is plan B? So to answer the super chat on your channel, I think the plan B should be, if we're building Braun Breaker and Roman Reigns, and I don't know if they're going to do Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker versus Roman and Jay, because I like that idea too.
For sure.
But what I would like is for SummerSlam to be the moment that we get a huge debut. And I think that would be the time, if you really, really want to have somebody hold it down and be part of this group, and Seth, especially when Seth is out, man, I would have, some people think it could be one or the other, but if I were WWE, I would have Roman and Jay versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, it looks like they're going to lose. Jay Uso gets taken out by Ricky Starks and Ethan Page. Not just one, but both guys. And I would do that. And I would have like Roman lose at SummerSlam in this tag team match. Jay eats the pin.
Yeah.
But Seth Rollins is the guy who called the shots, and like, I just think that would be so impactful, especially when Seth is out. I think it works out a lot in their favor. Personally speaking, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Of course, who knows what WWE will do here, but I think you said the key words is they don't have to pivot now. It's like they really don't. There is no pivot needed. Seth is going to be gone, but I mean, even if you want, Seth could, if you really want to have some fun with it, you can have Seth show up on the screen and start talking shit about Roman and Jay or whatever. And then next thing you know, Ricky Starks and Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker attack from behind while they're distracted, looking at the screen. Like, there's so many things you could do with this. WWE, I really hope WWE gets creative with Seth being off of television. Or maybe they just do the original thing of, hey, nobody knows when he's going to be back, so we just don't even show Seth.
Right. And, it's so funny that the pivot is Seth. That's the pivot.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love it.
I love it.
Shout out to Darth Bane for the $1.99, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, shout out to Darth Bane. We just got a super chat here as well from Tolino Channel for 100 rupees. He says, will Lash Legend be aligned with Naomi similar to Raquel? Lash was a standout in the Battle Royal. Naomi can help to elevate Lash and eventually feud. So I love this so much. There's two things I want to actually say here because I don't want to have a whole segment on it. Raquel Rodriguez recently did, I don't know if it was like an interview or something, but I keep seeing it pop up from Raquel. Basically, Kevin Nash was offering criticism, and he was saying, Raquel is basically praising her, but also saying like, hey, she works kind of like a small style. Yes. He wants to see her work more of like a dominant big. Raquel has actually been doing that in the last 2 weeks now, and you can tell immediately a difference. Like, she took the, instead of taking the criticism, and she even publicly said too, like, hey, if Kevin Nash is telling you, hey, this is how you should do it, this is somebody who I truly respect, and I'm going to do it. And it's paying off for Raquel. So just a quick little message there. It's working well for Raquel. I'm actually excited to see what happens with her and Roxanne moving forward. This could be the thing that helps turn the tides for Raquel in the women's division, which is exciting. Sure. Now, because of that, I love this super chat because I love the idea. Put Lash Legend with Naomi. Beautiful. Lash Legend is clear. They're clearly high on her. Like, I think 1,000,000% Naomi goes into this triple threat match, and who's there to help her? Lash Legend. I think that would be a great way to introduce Lash Legend to the main roster. This girl is like, she has been such a big improvement since, over the last year or two. She was second in the Battle Royal. This would be great. And if you really, really want to like turn Lash Legend into a big deal, you have her turn on Naomi at one point and win the belt.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's very simple. Things like that work, especially with NXT call-ups who are just, coming up to the main roster, which is obviously working a little bit different than NXT and, how they maneuver. Now, granted, maybe they're not as big of changes as they were under the Vince era, but they're still changes. You know what I mean? But I think at the end of the day, you can always, if you want to put Lash with Naomi. There's nothing wrong with that because all that does is eventually put over another star. It's no different than what we're seeing with Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins and, you know, potentially Ricky or Ethan. You know, we're going to continuously see these things to build momentum for stars. You know what I mean? So yeah, I love it personally. I think it's a great idea. I always think that if you do something like that, it never hurts. And Ango is been a very big person here to speak about how much he just loves factions in general.
Yeah.
So I do think you can get away with doing that. You know what I'm saying? Factions are fun. You know, they're exciting. So yeah, I you know, to answer that that super chat, yeah, man, definitely put Lash with Naomi. And also when it comes down to the, you know, I know you spoke about it for a second, but the Raquel thing, I think she's doing an amazing job, you know, when it comes down to working bigger. And I thought it was awesome that she took that criticism from Kevin Nash, and instead of lashing out, no pun intended, and freaking out on Twitter or whatever, saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe somebody said this about me." It's taking the constructive criticism, being able to use it and move forward with it. Constructive criticism is the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, man. And it's like Kevin Nash. I think sometimes people expect him to be like this old disgruntled guy, but he's giving advice that was very valid there. And it honestly turned out to be in favor of Raquel. Apply that to Lash Legend, you know, and I'm just going to be honest, like WWE should put Lash Legend with Naomi. Like they 1000% should do it. Naomi's going to go into SummerSlam triple threat match. She's a heel. She's got to be a coward. You have Lash Legend get into the mix, and that's such a big way to debut her. I mean, listen, she no longer has Jakara Jackson. This is somebody who WWE clearly is high up on. They know she's going to be a single star. She has improved immensely. You know, if you see Raquel taking this advice from Kevin Nash, imagine if Lash Legend does the same exact thing, and she basically is, you know, Naomi's right-hand girl. And this is like one of those things where Naomi can retain her belt. Lash Legend gets that big moment at SummerSlam. It's a pairing that would be really dope because of the characters themselves would mesh very well. And I think also it puts the whole division on notice. And there's also no pressure for Lash Legend to be called up and be like this immense superstar right away, but it allows her to be involved in a very big act. And this is why I love pairings and factions. It's a good excuse to get people together on TV where maybe there wouldn't be enough TV time, you know? So this solves a lot of things, but it also helps Naomi even go further into her championship reign, and it justifies Rhea and Io losing.
For sure. Absolutely.
Shout out to Tolino Channel for the super chat. Adam dropping a $5 super chat. He says, "Hey guys, with the weekend in the books, I'm going left field here. If Vince was still in charge in 2025, what would he do different against AEW's AIT?" I don't know what AIT stands for.
I don't know either.
I'm not sure what that stands for, but in general, just giving you kind of like a general idea, Vince would counter program AEW. Vince would probably even be more petty than TKO, to be honest. Because Vince wants to protect his ego at all costs.
For sure.
So if AEW is damaging his ego, I feel like you would see a lot more of that. But in my opinion, I think Vince, let's just say I'm happy Vince isn't running WWE in 2025. I will not sugarcoat that at all. Vince is he's not needed, man. And listen, the reason why AEW even got off hot was because Vince was he was losing his mind.
Yeah, can you Vince in 2025? You know, I remember Vince in 2019. That wasn't that long ago when you think about it. So yeah, I mean, truth be told, to answer that question,
really quick, all in Texas was AIT.
All in Texas. Okay, all right. But to really come down to that, you know, let's just be thankful that this super chat is a hypothetical and not a real life thing that we got going on. Yeah.
Oh, dude, 100%. Yeah, I think Vince would be far more petty. I think Vince would have said, "Oh, you guys want to do all in Texas? Okay, well, instead of NXT Great American Bash, we're going to put WrestleMania. We're going to move WrestleMania all the way to all in Texas."
Yeah.
I could see some shit like that. But
yeah, Vince doing something of like, the greatest WrestleMania, and it's July 12th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Adam for the super chat. Cornell Bryant dropping $4.99. He says Bayley won't even be on the SummerSlam card. Hell, LA Knight probably won't either. I don't think that's true. I think we're definitely going to see them on the card. I don't know what it would be just yet. It's too soon. We got to figure out what the story is there.
Well, if you want me to be honest, I'm sorry to cut you off for a second, but I think one thing that people, I took last night's match. I took the match between Bayley and Lyra as, whoever wins this is probably going to go face Naomi eventually for that World Heavyweight Championship. That's how I took that. And I understand that people are like, oh, she's not going to be on the SummerSlam card and Bayley's going to miss it. There's still a story with Bayley and Naomi that you could do at WrestleMania if you wanted to. And they are both on the same brand now. So I definitely think, I know we've seen the match a couple times, et cetera, but I think that there's always like a deep connection between those two. And I think WWE is aware of how important Bayley is. Yeah. And I do think that that's something that you could do later down the line. So I took last night's match on Monday Night Raw between Lyra and Bayley as whoever loses this is going into that world title picture and is going to eventually have that world title shot. It may just not be right at this very moment, which again, patience is everything, right?
Yeah. And one thing too that I wouldn't throw off the table either is the idea of Bayley turning heel at SummerSlam and costing Lyra the match. Like
absolutely,
I think that's always a possibility where maybe we see some sort of alliance with Becky and Bayley, and who knows? Like there's a crop of new women coming up, and I've always told you this, Billy. I said, man, it would be kind of nice for the 4 horsewomen to actually have a faction on TV. Obviously, that can't be done without Mercedes, but you put some OGs in a group, and who knows? That's a possibility. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to
I don't want to speculate too much just yet, Cornell, but I do appreciate the super chat. I do think they'll be involved in SummerSlam, especially for LA Knight. Definitely expect LA Knight involved in some capacity. It's a 2-night event. There's a lot of things that they could actually do, so I'm not going to jump the gun just yet. But we'll see. Who knows? You never know.
Yeah, for sure.
Luke Newman dropped $1.99. He says in AAA we saw the Cobra versus La Yesca. It was so fun. Dude, there's just been so much happening in wrestling. We haven't even had the chance to talk about this. No. But yeah, I definitely agree. I watched it. I thought it was so funny. I will say this. I've heard some really good news about AAA is set to be coming soon. So if you guys are excited, and especially in America, if you're excited for AAA, there's some stuff coming. So La Yesca and the Cobra, that should have happened on WrestleMania.
So much fun.
That should have been much fun. That should have been a WrestleMania thing, but
that would have been a great WrestleMania moment.
I love it. It was like bound to happen as soon as we saw La Yesca at AAA WWE Worlds Collide. Like that was
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Luke Newman followed up with that super chat for $1.99, and he says, "I can't wait to see Mr. Iguana on the WWE stage." Me too, man. Me too. I'd like talented, fun to watch, comedy. I don't know. I feel like Triple H is steering away from the comedy in WWE.
He is for sure, but I do think that he keeps some type of, if you look at even like the Judgment Day, it's within the stories. You know what I mean? It's not just, oh, this person is a comedy gimmick. No, they're just keeping the comedy within the stories.
Yeah, exactly. Like AJ Styles and Dominic yesterday.
Yeah, perfect example. Like praying. Yeah.
Dominic is so funny, bro. This guy...
He's hilarious. Real fast. Before we go in on there, I just want to say shout out to Sharon. Sharon dropped $1.99 over on my channel. So she didn't leave a message. Sharon never leaves a message on my channel when she drops super chats. And I'm waiting for the day that she does leave a message. So just want to say a big shout out to Sharon over there for the $1.99. Thank you so much.
Shout out to Sharon. Shout out to Luke. He actually drops another super chat for $1.99. He says, I wonder when we see the Lucha Bros tag team. This is hard because we got Rey Fenix and Andrade tag teaming on SmackDown.
They are officially in the tag division.
They're fun to watch. I just don't know what the hell the plan is there. But yeah, Penta is just a superstar on his own accord, man. It's gonna be a minute till we see them reunite, I think.
You know they're both there, so you know the possibilities are always there. So the simple answer to that is, again, we've talked about it quite a bit on this stream. Patience is everything, baby. And right now Penta is on a roll. Rey Fenix is doing his thing with Andrade. Don't know what that'll lead to, but hopefully it leads to something. Maybe just him winning championship gold in WWE eventually, as you know, they could potentially become WWE tag team champs. I don't know, but at the end of the day, it's there. You can do it whenever you want. They are signed to you.
Yeah.
And that's simple.
I agree. Shout out to Luke Newman for all those super chats. Tolino channel dropping 200 Indian rupees. He says, do you think Clash in Paris will be a wrestling masterclass? Also, Bayley versus Naomi will be interesting due to this fact that Bayley supported her during her time in TNA appearing in the crowd. I wanted to touch on that. There is a little bit of history, obviously, between the two. I think Naomi versus Bayley could be fun. I think, especially if you look at SummerSlam, right? If you look at what I was saying about Lash Legend joining Naomi, it would be kind of cool for this to actually kickstart after SummerSlam. So Lash Legend joins Naomi, Naomi being a coward. Bayley can remain being a baby face, but then also come out and be like, hey, hold on. Like, what the hell? Like, this is not you. You know what I mean? And blah, blah, blah. Like, typical baby face versus heel shit. But I think it could be really fun, especially because of the fact that it is well known about their friendship. And then, of course, going to TNA and supporting each other and things of that nature, which they could bring up. And they can use that footage, too. Like, there's cell phone footage of Bayley being in the crowd supporting her. And
a lot of that alongside stuff. Mercedes Moné.
Yeah, there's definitely that aspect of things that I think would be fun.
I agree.
And yeah, I think Clash in Paris will be a wrestling masterclass. And one thing that's exciting too is we know Stephanie Vakir will be on the card competing for a women's championship. Now, which title will that be? I don't know, but
they announced it yesterday.
Did they announce it?
Yeah, it'll be the women's world championship.
Yeah, but we don't know who's the champion.
Oh, yes. And yes, we don't know who that's going to be. But I was about to say, we do know what title it is.
Yeah, we know a title, but we don't know who's holding the title. Yeah.
Right.
Which will be cool. I think that'll be very fun. I don't know if Naomi holds the belt all the way to Clash in Paris. And, there's always that possibility she drops it or whatever it may be. Which, by the way, from a wrestling standpoint, Stephanie Vakir versus Naomi will fucking slap.
Yeah, dude, that thing's going to cook.
Yeah, that's going to be a great match. So definitely not tripping about that. Shout out to Tolino channel for the super chat. A couple things. I know somebody mentioned it in the chat too, but Ron Killings posted that tweet the other day. Ron Killings, Carmelo Hayes, Street Profits, hop in. I'm driving. Definitely a tease for a new group. I like the idea of it, especially now that the Wyatt Six have won the tag titles.
Yep.
That'll be interesting to see.
Do it. Put Carmelo Hayes on TV.
Yeah, definitely. I want to talk to you a little bit about the gauntlet match and more specifically the ending. So, CM Punk wins the gauntlet, right? He's celebrating. Yeah. He's getting his ass beat by Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Next thing you know, Roman Reigns comes out. He makes a save for Jey Uso and CM Punk. And we have Roman Reigns end the night. OTC 1, he's back. And we have this situation now where it looks like Roman Reigns is going to SummerSlam against Braun Breaker, or maybe they do a tag team match between Jey Uso and Roman Reigns and Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. But the minute that Roman Reigns comes out, I mean, he gets this massive pop. This guy comes out, gets the massive pop. The crowd is crazy. Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, Paul Heyman are all stunned. The cameramen do a good job of getting their reactions. We get to a moment where when Roman makes that save, CM Punk looks at him, and Roman kind of has an interesting look on his face, which I love. It's not just insulting our intelligence. These guys aren't best friends, but there is a little bit of a
mutual respect.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what this is going to lead to or how it all ends, but I thought this was a really good way of having Roman Reigns return, and I'm excited to see what that turns into. What did you think of the Roman return?
Well, funny enough, dude, I posted a TikTok clip, and I didn't realize that I did this, but it was so funny because obviously the things that I do are they're reactionary content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in the middle, like when his music hit, dude, I wish we could play it for the stream. I suggest everybody go watch my most recent TikTok. Dude, it's me backed up from the microphone at the top of my lungs being like, "It's Roman!" Dude, top of my lungs. So if that tells you anything, I was very excited to see Roman. But my overall thoughts on it, when it comes down to everything that transpired inside of the ring when he got back, the look that he gave CM Punk, obviously, I think one of the biggest moments to come out of that was him helping Jay, because regardless of the fact they still have a history, there's still a lot to be told there, even within itself, the climb back that Roman has to do to get his family back and to get, these guys back with him and on his side. He doesn't need them as henchmen anymore. He just needs his family, right? So I think there's a lot to tell there. But I was very excited. Number one, I think I got excited of the idea of Braun Breaker potentially even just having a singles match against Roman Reigns. It made a lot of sense to me. Roman was taken out by Braun. Okay, you want to do that? There you go, right? You don't have to run away from that match. I think it's awesome for Braun Breaker to get that opportunity. But overall, dude, like just to not, give a billion thoughts on it, the simple thought is, yeah, man, I love seeing Roman back, and I can't wait to see how this plays out as time goes on moving forward.
Yeah, I agree like 1,000,000%. And it's so good to see Roman back. Roman's getting that level of reaction is just crazy, and the fact that he's going to go to SummerSlam and be a big part of it is huge. And it's and listen, man, like there's always that. I do want that CM Punk and Roman Reigns match, and if CM Punk becomes world champion, like I wouldn't be mad at him versus Roman for the belt at WrestleMania next year.
No,
like I wouldn't be opposed to that. Like there's a lot of great things WWE could be doing right now. I thought that was a really cool return, which was dope. Luke Newman dropped another super chat for $1.99. He says, I like the Karrion Kross promo he did on Sami Zayn. Yeah, bro. Karrion Kross is just...
Yeah, man.
He's killing it. I think they got to put him and Sami Zayn on SummerSlam with a gimmick match, a stipulation.
For sure. Yeah, that's... dude, we all said that in the watch-along. It has to be a stipulation.
Let Karrion Kross win. Dude, I don't know what the fuck is happening too, but the righteous keep tweeting and they're interacting with Karrion Kross.
SummerSlam, baby.
Dude, that would be huge, That would be huge. I don't know what the hell the actual plan is there. That was kind of, that was kind of funny in my opinion. I love this promo. I love Karrion Kross. I'm a huge fan of him. He's just completely over when it comes to the way I look at things. So,
absolutely.
Shout out to Luke Newman. Billy, there was another thing I had to ask you about. You about this. Becky Lynch comes down to the ring wearing red and yellow, which is obviously because of the Becky Hogan.
Titantron. Oh, I didn't even think about that, dude. I thought it was matching the Titantron.
No, man, Becky Hogan.
Dude, I didn't think about it. Oh my God. I was naive to that. I was gullible. They got me.
She's not beating those allegations.
No, she is not.
She's not beating those allegations. Listen, bro, I'm going to be honest with you, though. I think it's awesome. Becky Lynch right now as a heel is just so awesome to watch. She's absolutely killing it.
Remember when everybody didn't like it when it first started? I remember.
You got to play into it, man, and people got to be patient. She's good at this. And obviously, everybody in the IWC loves calling wrestlers, Charlotte Hogan, Becky Hogan. Like everybody thinks like these people are trying to be Hulk Hogan, and that's not the case. But Becky's leaning into it. I thought that was so funny. It was just a little tidbit from Raw. When I see her walk down to the ring and she's got the red and yellow, I'm like, oh my God. Dude, I want to see her take it to the next level and literally just Becky Mania shirts. Like I want her to just do the whole thing. I want her to bring out the thing that Hulk Hogan used to wear around his neck, like the little scarf feather thing. I want to see her go and take this all the way to the next level, bro.
Me too, man.
Troll them all, piss them all off.
Dude, yeah, hell yeah. At that point, you got to, bro. The Becky, dude, I did not put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah,
I did not.
I
was like, oh, the Titantron. Like, I thought it was playing into Seth because you know how Seth, if he comes out in a certain color, it matches the Titantron. I was like, oh, she's probably just giving props to her husband.
Yeah,
that is not the case.
Exactly. Yeah, just funny, bro. So funny.
Should have wore a headband.
Oh, right. She wears a bandana or something. That shit would be so funny.
Oh my god. And it should. Oh man, Beckamania.
Dude, why not? Just lean into it. Lean into it.
Not beating those allegations.
Yeah, I love it. I love when a good heel likes to troll the community. They're online, bro. They know what people are saying, so might as well mess with people.
For sure, absolutely. Oh yeah, did you see how I said this on my watch along? Michael Cole on commentary, he was like, "Ooh yeah," as CM Punk was going to hit that elbow.
Yeah,
I thought it was so convenient that it was right on the Slim Jim logo.
Yeah,
I was like, "That's hilarious."
I loved it. It's the little
the
things,
convenience
bro.
of that. It's the little things, dude.
I wanted to read some news to you.
Okay.
There was a little bit of a circumstance. Something has clearly changed in the WWE. So something is clearly wrong with Travis Scott in the WWE. I don't know if you guys are all aware. Travis Scott was originally supposed to work Money in the Bank with John Cena. There was supposed to be some sort of tag team match. Clearly, we didn't get that. WWE 2K25 was rumored to have Travis Scott as the DLC. WWE 2K25 comes out and say, okay, the celebrity guest is actually being replaced by El Grande Americano. Whatever WWE was looking to do with Travis Scott clearly seems to be off the table, which is interesting because we knew there was reports of Travis Scott actually training to be a professional wrestler. Now, some people probably don't care about this at all because it's a celebrity and it's Travis Scott, whatever. But at the same time, too, this kind of goes to show you that WWE has to be very careful with who they invest in because Travis Scott was there for these big time moments. And then when it comes to actually doing something long term, something's fallen through. I don't know really what to make of it, but clearly something is wrong here.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, that's why you don't put that much investing into them. And I think, what they're doing with Jelly Roll right now is a perfect example of like, okay, this is where they belong. You put them, with these important people for sure for the time being. It's no different than what they did with Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. You give them that moment. But, John Cena's heel turn is supposed to be the biggest thing that's ever happened in pro wrestling. And then ultimately for it to be washed away strictly because of two people that were in the ring. It just did not play into the storyline at all. It's silly. So yeah, I do agree with you 100% there. WWE needs to watch where they're investing their time and their energy.
Yeah. I think that's funny. I think it's funny, bro. Jelly Roll is going to come out and do a fucking Canadian Destroyer. And then everybody's going to be like, Travis who?
Facts.
Luke Newman dropping another $1.99. He says, maybe we see the Righteous debut at SummerSlam. Yeah, Billy kind of alluded to that. I know the Wrestling Old Head also said, hey, like, are they well known enough to debut on the main roster? These guys are talented enough and they're going to be able to cut great promos. And it's not, listen, the tag team division needs help on Raw anyways. It's still not where I want it to be. So I think this will be completely fine if WWE decides to bring them in. And Karrion Kross is a great leader. I think Authors of Pain were not entertaining enough. I think the Righteous are. So if you have them come to the aid of Karrion Kross and they stand tall with Scarlett, I think that actually puts Karrion Kross in a whole different level. So I think maybe if we see them at debut, like if he has a match with Sami Zayn and it's no holds barred or something like that, yeah, I think we see something cool happen.
For sure. Agreed.
Shout out to Luke Newman for the super chat. And thank you to everybody who dropped super chats. Do you have any more super chats you got to read on your channel?
Nope. I'm good.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to end it here. It's July 15th, 2025. Tonight we have NXT. Expecting some big things because Sunday is Slammiversary for TNA. Maybe you guys missed it, but they are teasing AJ Styles. Definitely worth listening to. I dropped that video earlier this morning, so make sure you guys check that out. And of course, if you guys are interested in more content, go ahead and click that subscribe button. And don't forget to show Billy some love as well on his channel. Are you doing a watch along for NXT tonight, my friend?
Yes, sir. I will be live. You guys can tune into my channel. It's Billy TKO over on YouTube. We do live watch alongs there Monday, Tuesday, Fridays. This week we will not be live on Friday, but we will be live on Wednesday to fix that. So if you guys want to come join these watch alongs, definitely feel free, man. We have a really good time over there. We get some awesome clips for TikTok. We all hang out. We enjoy each other's company. And yeah, man, I suggest everybody maybe coming over. And if you're not going to hit subscribe, at least consider coming to check it out.
Absolutely. And DRecTube coming through with the last second super chat for $2. He says, Becky coming out to Voodoo Child.
Jeez, oh Pete.
I love it.
I love it too.
Shout out to DRecTube for the last second super chat, the buzzer beater. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show. We will see you guys tomorrow at 12 p.m. And by the way, your boy might be going live with some WWE 2K25 in just a little bit. So stay tuned. Keep your eyes peeled because I might be live on the channel in just a little bit. You never know. You never know. You never know. Keep those notifications rocking, ladies and gentlemen.